Hello everyone. In this short lesson, we will look at how to differentiate exponential functions. An exponential function, for example, y is equal to e raised to the power x, or y is equal to the natural log of x, or y is equal to e raised to the power f of x, or y is equal to the natural log of a function. So we are going to look at how we can differentiate these functions. Now the very first rule that you always need to remember is that the derivative d dx of e raised to the power x is just equal to e raised to the power x. And d dx ln x is just equal to 1 over x. This fundamentally will be used in deriving most of the functions that we have. Now similarly, if you have y equal to e raised to the power f of x, we can say that let u be equal to f of x, which means that du dx is just represented as f prime of x. Hence, y then becomes e raised to the power u, which means that dy du is equal to e raised to the power u. Per the chain rule, dy dx will be equal to dy du multiplied by du dx. So this will be equal to dy du is e raised to the power u, du dx is just f prime of x. So this, therefore, we can conclude that the derivative d dx e raised to the power f of x is just going to be equal to f prime of x e raised to the power f of x. This is important. It's worth knowing. Then the next integral would be, suppose that y is equal to the natural log of f of x. What we can do is say let u be equal to f of x, which means that du dx is equal to f prime of x. Now, we will now look for the fact that y will be equal to the natural log of u, which means that dy du will be equal to 1 over u. This is just going to be equal to 1 over f of x. Hence, we can therefore see that d dx of ln f of x is equal to f prime of x divided by f of x. You should definitely keep this in mind. I'm going to call this 5. So just to remind you of the main points. 1. The derivative of e raised to the power x is just e raised to the power x. The derivative of ln x is just going to be 1 over x. And the derivative of e raised to the power f of x is f prime of x e raised to the power f of x. And lastly, the derivative of ln f of x is just going to be f prime of x divided by f of x. Now, these few formulas or recipes will be used in solving a couple of examples. So let's look at example 1. We have here y is equal to e raised to the power 3x squared. So the question would be find y prime and y double prime. So we can say that follow with me, u equal to 3x squared. This would imply that du dx is equal to 6x. Similarly, this would mean that y is equal to e raised to the power u, which means that dy du is equal to e raised to the power u. Remember that dx, e raised to the power x, is just equal to e raised to the power x. This is a standard formula that you should always remember. So this would mean that dy dx is equal to, now we are using the chain rule here, is equal to dy du dot du dx. Dy du is e raised to the power u. Du dx is just gonna be 6x. This would mean that y prime is 6x e raised to the power 3x squared. This right here is y prime. Now the next question is for us to calculate y double prime. Now y double prime essentially is the second derivative. Now keep in mind that y double prime is just gonna be dx of dy dx. A way of putting this is, it is just the second derivative of the function. Now this would mean that we are looking for the derivative of 6x e 3x squared. What do you notice? You would observe that this is a product. So y is equal to 6x e 3x squared. So how do we differentiate a product? We are going to use the product rule here. For example, the product rule says that if y is equal to u vu, where u and v are all functions of x, then y prime will be equal to u v prime plus v u prime. This right here represents the product rule. So let's therefore say that let u be equal to 6x and let v be equal to e raised to the power 3x squared. That means that u prime is just equal to 6 and v prime is equal to 6x e raised to the power 3x squared. Hence, y prime is equal to u v prime plus v u prime, which will be equal to u is 6x, v prime is 6x e raised to the power 3x squared, plus v is e raised to the power 3x squared, and u prime is 6. So we can further simplify. So y, well, technically this is like y double prime. So our final answer, which is y double prime here, will be given by 36 x squared e 3x squared plus 6 e 3x squared. We can actually further simplify this to be 6e 3x squared bracket 6x squared plus 1. And this will be our answer. Now, this was a good problem. So if you have any questions regarding how I have done this problem, please ask the question in the discussion forum below, and I will be able to really help you on this. Now, the next example that I would like for us to consider will be, let's look at example 2. We have y equal to the natural log of 6x plus 3. Now the question will be for us to look for y prime and y double prime. So this is the next example. You can actually pause this video here and watch. So we could say that let u be equal to 6x plus 3. This would mean that y is equal to the natural log of u. Hence, du dx is equal to 6, and dy du is equal to 1 over u, which essentially is 1 over 6x plus 3. By the chain rule, dy dx is going to be equal to dy du multiplied by du dx. This is equal to 1 over 6x plus 3 multiplied by 6. This gives us 6 divided by 6x plus 3. We can further simplify this to give us 2 divided by 2x plus 1, and that really is our answer. Let's look at another example. Example 3. Y is equal to the natural log of 2x cubed plus 3. Y is equal to the natural log of 2x cubed plus 3. This is a beautiful example. So the very first step we need to do is we say that let u be equal to 2x cubed plus 3, which implies that y will be equal to ln u. So du dx will be equal to 6x squared, and dy du will be equal to 1 over u, which essentially is 1 all divided by 2x cubed plus 3. Hence, per the chain rule, dy dx is equal to dy du dx. dy du is 1 over 2x cubed plus 3 multiplied by du dx, which is 6x squared. And this will give us 6x squared divided by 2x cubed plus 3. Now, this is actually following the procedure step by step. An easy route that you can take is just to use the formula that we derived above if you had forgotten. Remember that the derivative of ln f of x is just going to be equal to f prime of x divided by f of x. So if we use that here, what we are going to have is, we know that y is equal to the natural log of 2x cubed plus 3, and we also know that dy dx is just going to be equal to f prime of x divided by f of x. Now, what is f prime of x? F of x is equal to 2x cubed plus 3. F prime of x is equal to 6x. This would mean that dy dx is equal to 6x divided by 2x cubed plus 3. And there you have your answer. So you can either use this formula to get your answer, or you can follow this procedure, detailed procedure above. Now please, if you have, this can sometimes be confusing at first, but I guarantee you that if you practice some more examples, you will be able to get this. But overall, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask in the discussion forum below. Thank you.